comedian Katie Halper, co-founder and performer of the national comedy tour Laughing Liberally. Katie, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So there's a lot to digest here with Sarah Palin. What stands out?
I think the affair with Rice is amazing. Apparently she had a fetish for black men, which is great news for the one black man in the Tea Party.
Might be able to play along.
Might be able to drill here, drill now.
Now, is there anything about her previous history of drilling here, drilling now, that could portend any moral problems that the Tea Party might have for her?
I guess if she wants to go rogue, which now I have, of course, a totally different understanding. I think the Tea Party's moral compass is pretty off. I mean, I think that if all else fails, she could pretend that she'd killed someone, and then they'll all cheer for her the way that they did for Rick Perry and the way that they did for Ron Paul when he was suggesting that we just let people die if they don't have health insurance. So that's always an option. But I do think that they're so morally off that they won't even care about this. Of course, the irony is I don't care about this stuff. She's the family values, quote-unquote family values activist. She's the one whose daughter somehow is a spokeswoman for abstinence only. I don't know if she realizes that she's actually unintentionally a spokeswoman for Planned Parenthood. But somehow they're able to spin reality. I think I found the perfect symbol for Ron Paul. He's like a cuckoo clock, right? Because he's almost always wrong. He's always cuckoo, and he makes a grating sound. I personally think that his position on Israel is very refreshing. Now, it may not be so much about Palestinian self-determination. There may be a little anti-Semitism in there.
Right.
And I don't say that usually. I don't play that card. But I think with Ron Paul, I'm going to, I assume he's equal opportunity bigoted, and he's definitely racist, so I'm going to assume there's some anti-Semitism. Mosque. You guys all know about the controversial mosque? Well, it's up and running, and but I agree. I think that you shouldn't have mosques 2 blocks away from Ground Zero, just like you shouldn't have Catholic churches 2 blocks away from elementary schools. Hey, some of my best friends are Catholic. I can make that joke. And look, I'm totally equal opportunity. You also should not have synagogues 2 blocks away from where you got ripped off. So, look, all right. But I think the most exciting endorsement is the dating website's endorsement of Newt Gingrich, who's literally become the poster child for adultery. Ashley Madison is a dating site, and its motto is life is short, have an affair. They put a picture of Newt Gingrich, looking even larger than he usually does, on a billboard, and it says Newt Gingrich, unfaithful husband, faithful Republican. So Newt Gingrich is now literally the face of adultery, and it's a very appropriate face since he's such a prolific adulterer himself. Right. I know that Sarah Palin fancies herself a feminist. I don't think she's a feminist at all. I mean, if she's a feminist, she's a selective feminist. When it's convenient for her, she talks about sexism. But I think it's kind of amusing, the idea that she's a feminist. Being a feminist is not just having 2 X chromosomes. It's a set of beliefs that Sarah Palin doesn't have and doesn't share.
I'm sorry, I have to just interject, because this idea that there is a definition of what a feminist is, that you have to support a particular line about abortion or certain other social issues is just
So what
absurd.
is feminism? So what is feminism?
The fact that she's able to be a mother and a wife and a politician and a best-selling author,
and not
that doesn't make her a
equal
successful
pay
woman.
for men and women? I thought I'd talk about, I'd lighten it up a little bit and talk about the Middle East. Right? I know that, some people get their panties all up in a bunch over the Middle East, but whenever I'm nervous about it, I like to think of the wise words of Condoleezza Rice. Do you guys remember her? She was like Bush's tutor or whatever. And, okay, so you're with me. And a couple years ago, there was some scuffle, and Condi said, quote, "What we're seeing here are the birth pangs of a new Middle East," right? So I think of the situation in Libya right now as the stretch marks of freedom. Right. And then the situation in Syria, those are the hemorrhoids of democracy. And the Israel-Palestine conflict is the episiotomy of liberty, if you will.
And Katie Halper, a progressive organizer and the co-founder of the website livingliberally.org. She started a Facebook group in support of Weiner. So what made you start the Facebook group?
I was just really annoyed with the way the Democrats were rolling over and not fighting at all. And what was interesting is that this scandal has actually made me like Anthony Weiner that much more, not for what he did in his personal life, but it reminds me of how different he is from most Democrats. The irony is that I feel like Weiner is the only guy in office who would have known how to fight back against something like this. I don't know know if you heard of Hank Williams Jr. Apparently he was on Fox. You know that you're like a total wingbat racist nut when like the people on Fox are like, huh? So Boehner played golf with Obama, which was terrible. You know why? Because that was like Netanyahu playing golf with Hitler. I'll let you figure out who the Netanyahu was and who the Hitler was. And he goes, with the country that this shape is in, which is amazing. And then he's like, they're the enemy. And they're like, who's the enemy? He goes, Joe Biden and Obama. They're like the Three Stooges. And the people on Fox are like, there are two of them. And he's like, whatever. By the way, if Boehner were a Democrat, the Republicans would call him Boner every single time they mentioned him. I just want to put that out there. I think that that's where we should take this country back, starting with Boner.
People just breaking the law out in the open, you know.
Yesterday was 420. Unofficially, it's become a national holiday celebrating marijuana. Joining me from our studio in New York to discuss it, I have political comedian Katie Halper. I went to the UC Santa Cruz, and this was, you know, the biggest day on campus for any student there.
A rite of passage for you guys? Have you? I mean, the thing that's cool, I guess, about 420 is that you're doing the thing that you enjoy. The protest is actually the activity that you're defending the right to have. That has a political side to it. But I also think that it's natural. I mean, this is what Abby Hoffman wanted to do, right? I sound like I'm 100 years old, but make politics fun and entertaining so people feel like they actually want to participate in it. And I actually get it like an endorphin rush, and there have been studies on this, but I feel very happy when I get a high, no pun intended, when I'm at rallies and, you know, people are cheering. And they've done studies on that. Apparently it's pretty common that when people do attend these political rallies, they're really happy, and it's actually a chemical thing that happens. Now, I don't know, I assume that with Tea Party people, because it's a rise in hatred as opposed to happiness. I'm not
Perhaps
sure.
it's a
I
little
don't have
different.
any data, but